Aloha aina, and welcome to Voices of Truth, one-on-one with Hawaii's future, brought to you by the Kiwani Foundation. I'm Kaleikoa Cardwell, and this is a special version for Free Hawaii TV, the Free Hawaii Television Broadcasting Network. I'm here with Kaleikoa Kaeo. I've just murdered your name. I'm sorry. Kaleikoa Kaeo, I can say it. And we wanted to talk about the fact that you are, I called you a Hawaiian philosopher earlier today, because you are. I mean, you've researched a lot of different people. You've looked at history.
Good student.
Good student of history. You looked at a lot of different movements in the world, and you have a lot of role models you've patterned yourself after. So obviously, you know, people are looking for people like you to look up to. What do you have to say to them?
I guess, you know, my big message always has been, and like I quoted earlier today, you know, quoting Malcolm X, the biggest mistake is trying to organize a sleeping people. You have to first wake them up to the humanity, the culture, and then you get action. So, you know, in this movement, education or politicalization of our people, I believe the fundamental core concentration where I like to speak from or speak about is we look at Hawaiian sovereignty, so talk about the question of Hawaiian, the essence of being Hawaiian. Because you cannot really practice true Hawaiian politics without the Hawaiian element.
Yes.
And so, if not, you'd be, of course, just reduplicating the politics of, well, in Hawaii's case, the occupier.
Yep.
And so the Hawaiian case, again, very similar to other examples around the world, where you have a foreign entity come in and then, for the benefit of themselves, through the exploitation of the resources of the people, subjugate the people by really taking control of the identity of the people. And this usually begins, of course, by denigrating the people's identity, to robbing them of the history, the knowledge of self. And so, like what Malcolm X said, if you're going to struggle for the empowerment of your people, the first necessary step really is to educate the people about really who they are. Yeah. So you can have a good firm foundation of who they are. And this automatically, for example, if one practices the learning and speaking of Hawaiian language, obviously any politics dealing with language becomes political.
Yes.
If one is a practitioner of terraforming and is involved with the cultivation of the fields or water, of course any issues dealing with water automatically becomes politicized for the terraformer. And in today's world, you know, the terraformer in Hawaii has become a very important political person. It's no longer really the lawyer in a sense, really those who are actively participating in the revitalization of our people. And so a terraformer today has to not only be, as we say in Hawaii, eleo, about how to grow taro, you know, all the cultural knowledge that needs to be used to grow taro, but he also must be politically wise enough to ensure that you have clean, fresh water at the right amounts. And to do so today, you must be politically active in protecting that kind of resources, or the watershed, or other resources that allow the water to flow to the taro path. So a modern Hawaiian today cannot be one that is only political or only cultural. In fact, what you find are really, they're two sides of the same coin.
Exactly.
To be a true political person really is based upon your identity culturally, and also, you know, to be a true practicing cultural, you know, cultural practitioner, you have to be involved today in politics. So if you're a hula dancer, you got to be involved in practicing the essence of not just knowledge of hula, but making sure that you have access into the mountains so you can pick the plants, the quinoa that you need for your performance. You must have access into the areas. You must have make sure that the watershed is protected so you can have a healthy environment. So again, in order to do what we need to do, you have to be able to practice, I don't like to say both, but be wholesome as a practitioner.
Yeah,
you know.
And so all those are political acts, aren't they?
Correct, exactly.
Yeah.
They're all political acts. Just speaking Hawaiian itself is a political act.
Yep. Dancing the hula is a political act.
Yeah.
Working in the taro patches.
And they're all, you know, they're all acts of fighting against this assimilation.
Yes.
And for me, I see assimilation is the biggest threat to our people. Assimilation seeks to wipe out a memory of self, a memory of our identity, really try to condition ourselves into a way to look at the land again as something foreign in which we should be able to sell and exploit.
Yes.
Like those
and subjugate,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's part of our rediscovery or relearning or renewing or revitalization is really to reattach ourselves to the land and see the land as just being an extension of who we are. Exactly. And this is something, again, we come from. This is something we still try to live, and hopefully we promote into the future.
Yeah, good. So Kaleikoa, that discovering that identity, that awakening, where does that start?
You know, I think depending on where a person, or the background a person has, or the resources that are out there, I mean, it can start from your friendly neighborhood library. It can start there. It can start from the internet. It can start from attending lectures. It can start from volunteering at schools, especially Hawaiian immersion schools, Hawaiian charter schools, where there's a whole bunch of information, resources there that you can learn from. You can visit a halau. You can, if it's Hawaiian language. And I think these are all various ways in which we just express the Hawaiianness. You know,
yeah.
We are who we are, and it's important that we find whatever niche it is. You know, whatever is the door that may open that open to re-identify yourself in Hawaiian. And it's not one monolithic model for everyone. You know, and for some people it is the political realm. For some people it is the religious realm. For some it's dancing hula. For some it's speaking Hawaiian. But we gotta be able to be careful, not be trapped in thinking, you know, just because you pronounce sounds that sound like Hawaiian isn't necessarily a Hawaiian voice. Or just because you wear a malo or you walk around with a aloha shirt, it doesn't necessarily mean you're more progressive as a Hawaiian. Yeah. That can be a trap sometimes, I think, when people enter that realm and then limit themselves just to that particular, and not attach, for example, dance hula, but not worry about the environment, not worry about conditions of the plants.
Yeah.
Again, that is really you're not really fully practicing your culture in that sense.
Yeah.
So it's important that a person who perceives himself to be political or practices their culture tries to be holistic or wholesome and understands the politics that surrounds that and participates.
What I hear you saying is that it has to come from the inside
It is
out,
inside, the essence of the person.
Outside in.
Yeah, and that's why I think, you know, go back even to our famous motto, Hawaiian Kaeo, and that to me what ea is all about.
Yeah.
You know, it's really that, ea o ka'aina. To me it's a very important statement, Hawaiian Kaeo o ka'aina i kopono.
Yeah.
It doesn't say Hawaiian Kaeo of the Constitution, Hawaiian Kaeo of that ali'i or this king or this legislature or this document or this bill.
Yeah.
Hawaiian Kaeo o ka'aina. So it really, our politics is truly based upon our relationship to the land and the health of the land. So anytime we work to protect the land, and for example, I'll take something like the Striker Brigade that's coming, you know, that's hoping to come to Hawaii this time.
The military.
The military's attempt to bring in, you know, 400 armored vehicles. The biggest issue, of course, is where are they going to train? And of course, a lot of these lands will impact Hawaiian sites, Hawaiian sacred sites, archaeological sites. And by working to protect those sites, that in a sense is the key. That kind of mentality where you're looking to protect those sites really, in a sense, may not seem to be too political, but in the end it's very powerful and political. So the key is not to maybe get caught up in worrying about which kingdom you should support, as much as realizing what happens, for example, at the top of Mauna Kea.
Yes.
Relates to all of us.
Yes.
And that's what we need to participate in. Yes. And then the rest will work itself out.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. You know, we have about a minute left. Yeah. What would you say to our viewers who want to get involved but don't know how?
You know, I think there's many organizations out there. You know, many organizations out there. You know, from watching TV, internet, reading, pay attention to the newspapers. You know, you got hearings that are out there all the time. You have public testimonies that are being taken. And even if yourself not looking to testify, go there, listen, and you'll hear and you'll meet people who are always more knowledgeable than whoever we are.
Yeah.
And we always have an idea is go with the attitude of learning.
Yes.
That we are all in transition. Mm-hmm. We are all in transition to learn and bettering ourselves. And it doesn't matter whether or not you were born and raised in an urban, you know, Hawaii, or born and raised in California, or born and raised in the heartland of Molokai. Yep. We are all in transition. We are all heading towards the same goal, and it's just a matter of understanding it and linking up and struggling for the same direction.
That's great. Kaleikoa, thank you for being on Voices of Truth. This has been a special edition for the Free Hawaii Television Broadcasting Network. Voices of Truth, one-on-one with Hawaii's future, brought to you by the Kawani Foundation. I'm Hawaiian Kaeo Cardwell. Until next time, ahui ho. Aloha.